The truffle was born from a kitchen accident on Christmas Day. Ferrero Rocher is named after a Catholic shrine, and the runny center of a chocolate-covered cherry is made by an enzyme that eats through sugar after the candy is already sealed shut. Chocolate candy has been around for centuries, and almost every type you've ever eaten has a story behind it that's stranger than you'd expect. Wars, blockades, basement inventors, and college students breaking curfew all shape the candy aisle you walk through today. This is every type of chocolate candy explained. Number 1. Truffle. In 1895, a French pastry chef named Louis Dufour ran out of ideas for Christmas candy in his shop in Chambéry, so he improvised. He mixed hot cream into melted chocolate, rolled the mixture into rough, uneven balls, and dusted them in cocoa powder. The result looked so much like the prized truffle mushroom dug from soil that the name stuck immediately. There's actually a rival origin story. Legend says an apprentice in Auguste Escoffier's kitchen accidentally poured hot cream into a bowl of chopped chocolate. Escoffier supposedly shouted ganache, which was slang for fool, and that word became the name of the chocolate cream filling itself. Truffles stayed mostly European until 1973, when an American named Alice Medrich tasted one in Paris and started selling them out of a small shop in Berkeley, California. She's largely credited with starting America's obsession with artisan chocolate truffles. Number 2. Praline. In Belgium, a praline is any filled chocolate. In America, a praline is a pecan sugar candy from New Orleans. Same word, completely different thing. The Belgian version started in 1912 when a Brussels chocolatier named Jean Nougat Jr. had an idea. His grandfather had been coding bitter pharmacy medicine in chocolate since 1857. Jean decided to replace the medicine with sweet fillings like ganache, buttercream, and nut paste. And just like that, the modern filled chocolate was born. But here's the detail nobody expects. In 1915, Jean's wife Louise noticed that their beautiful pralines kept getting crushed in paper cones during transport. So she designed a sturdy, elegant box specifically for chocolates. That box is called the Ballotin, and it's the reason chocolate gift boxes look the way they do today. Number 3. Gianduja. This one exists because of a war. In 1806, Napoleon imposed a continental trade blockade across Europe, cutting off cocoa imports almost entirely. Chocolatiers in Turin, Italy, were suddenly working with almost no chocolate, but they had something else in abundance along the Piedmont hillsides: hazelnuts. So they started blending finely ground Tonda Gentile hazelnuts into their dwindling chocolate supply, stretching it as far as it would go. The result was Gianduja, a smooth, rich paste made from about 30% hazelnut. It was named after Gianduja, a masked carnival character who represented the fun-loving people of Piedmont. And the most famous descendant of Gianduja? Nutella. It was originally called Pasta Gianduja before the Ferrero company rebranded it in the 1960s. So every time you spread Nutella on toast, you're eating a recipe that was born out of a Napoleonic war strategy. Number 4. Peanut butter cup. H.B. Reese had 16 children and a long history of failed careers. He tried frog farming, worked at a fish cannery, and even attempted to play the French horn professionally. None of it stuck. But in 1928, while working on Milton Hershey's dairy farm in Hershey, Pennsylvania, he started making candy in his basement. His big creation was a milk chocolate cup filled with heavily roasted peanut butter. During World War II, sugar rationing forced him to drop every other candy and focus entirely on the cup. It turned out to be the smartest business decision he ever made. Reese died in 1956, but in 1963, his 6 sons merged the company with Hershey in a stock swap worth about $23 million. Those shares would be worth billions today. By 1969, just 6 years after the merger, Reese's peanut butter cups had become Hershey's #1 product. They still hold that spot, pulling in over $3 billion a year. Number 5. Ferrero Rocher. The name sounds luxurious and vaguely French, but the meaning behind it is surprisingly religious. Rocher means rock or boulder in French, and it refers directly to the Rocher de Massabielle, the rocky grotto at the Catholic shrine of Lourdes. Michel Ferrero, who created the candy in 1979 in the Piedmont region of Italy, was deeply devout. He reportedly kept a statue of the Virgin Mary in every one of his 14 factories. The candy itself is an engineering project. A whole roasted hazelnut sits at the center, surrounded by a hazelnut cream filling inside a crispy wafer sphere. That sphere gets coated in milk chocolate and rolled in chopped hazelnuts before being wrapped in the signature gold foil. Production is famously secretive. Workers at the main factory in Alba, Italy, are not allowed to bring phones inside, and that single factory produces roughly 24 million Rochers every single day. Number 6. Nougat. The nougat inside a Snickers bar doesn't look anything like traditional nougat, but they are distant relatives. Real nougat dates back over 1,000 years. The earliest clear recipe appears in cookbooks from Baghdad around 900 AD, where it was called natif. From there, it spread to Spain as turron, to Italy as torrone, and eventually to Montélimar in southern France, where it became a regional obsession. The basic recipe is straightforward. Whipped egg whites get folded into hot honey or sugar syrup, then mixed with roasted almonds or pistachios. Depending on how long it cooks, the result ranges from soft and chewy to hard and brittle. Italian legend says torrone was first created for the 1441 wedding of Bianca Maria Visconti in the city of Cremona, and was shaped to look like the city's famous bell tower, the Torrazzo. Whether that story is true or not, the chewy nougat layer in today's candy bars owes its existence to confectioners who perfected this recipe centuries ago. Number 7. Fudge. Fudge was almost certainly a mistake. The most popular theory is that someone in the 1880s fudged, meaning botched, a batch of caramels, and the result turned out softer, creamier, and arguably better than what they were trying to make. What happened next is the fun part. In 1888, a Vassar College student named Emmeline Battersby Hartridge made 30 pounds of fudge for a senior class auction using a recipe from a friend's cousin in Baltimore. It was a hit, and the recipe spread across the women's colleges of the American Northeast. Students at Wellesley and Smith each developed their own signature variations. The thing is, making fudge required heating sugar over open flames. Doing that in a dormitory late at night, on gas lamps and alcohol burners, was absolutely against the rules. Fudge became a small act of rebellion for these college women, breaking curfew to make candy in their rooms. Number 8. Mendiants. A mendiant is a flat disc of tempered chocolate topped with exactly 4 ingredients, and each one was originally chosen to represent the robe color of a medieval mendicant monk order. Almonds for the white-robed Dominicans, raisins for the gray Franciscans, hazelnuts for the brown Carmelites, and dried figs for the Augustinians. The word mendiant literally means beggar, referring to the vow of poverty these orders took. The candy became part of the traditional 13 desserts served at Christmas in Provence, a lavish spread symbolizing Jesus and the 12 apostles. Modern chocolatiers have expanded the toppings well beyond the original 4, adding pistachios, candied orange peel, cranberries, and flaky sea salt. But the classic version still carries that medieval symbolism. It's one of the only candies in the world where every single ingredient was chosen for its meaning, not its flavor. Number 9. Dragées. Around 1220, an apothecary in the French city of Verdun figured out that coating almonds in layers of hard sugar made bitter medicine much easier to swallow. That sugar coating technique, called panning, became the foundation for an entire category of candy. The sugar-coated almond became a fixture at European weddings. You might know them as Jordan almonds, though the name has nothing to do with the country. It likely comes from the French word jardin, meaning garden, as in cultivated almonds versus wild ones. They're traditionally given to wedding guests in groups of 5, an indivisible odd number symbolizing health, wealth, happiness, fertility, and long life. And here's the connection you've probably never made. M&Ms are technically chocolate dragées. The hard candy shell around a chocolate center uses the same panning technique that French pharmacists invented 800 years ago, just scaled up and mass-produced. Number 10. Cherry cordial. The chocolate-covered cherry has a party trick that almost nobody thinks about. When you bite into one, the center is liquid, but when the candy was made, that center was completely solid. So how did it become runny? The answer is an enzyme called invertase. Confectioners coat the cherry and a solid sugar fondant center in chocolate, then seal the whole thing shut. Over the next 1 to 4 weeks, the invertase slowly breaks down the sugar from the inside, turning the solid center into syrup. By the time the candy reaches store shelves, the interior has completely liquefied without ever being opened. The name cordial comes from the Latin word cor, meaning heart. Medieval apothecaries used fruit preserved in brandy and spirits as medicine believed to strengthen the heart. French confectioners later dipped cherries in chocolate, and the modern cherry cordial was born. It's one of the few candies where chemistry handles the final step of the recipe long after the chocolatier has finished. 10 types of chocolate candy. 10 completely different origin stories. Wars, monks, kitchen accidents, and an enzyme quietly doing its job inside a sealed chocolate shell. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe for more Food Explained.